Hello to my rising community. I'm coming to you today. First of all, I'm Talisa Williams, and I started this YouTube channel, Retired and Rising, to talk about the reasons why I retired at 62, and also to try to help others who are trying to make that decision and are going through emotional turmoil because of it. It's not a financial advice or anything like that. It's just what happened to me spiritually, emotionally, and financially too. And how did I get here? So if you haven't done so, please watch my 30-minute long um, intro. You can skip through it and get to the parts you want to see. I do have it in chapters, but then that'll give you a better idea of who I am and what's this all about. Currently, I am on a 19-day cruise. It's actually two cruises glued together. They call that back to back or B2B in the cruising world. I'm a huge cruiser. I've been cruising since 1995. So, um, of course, once I retired, that's what I gravitated towards, is taking more cruises. So I'm currently on a cruise right now. It's a special adults only cruise being held by Carnival Cruise Line, and I'm on the Carnival Conquest, which is an older Carnival ship that I've been on before. I'm also a part-time travel agent, so if you want to find out more about cruising or the Carnival Conquest, I will be putting videos over there on my travel channel, ourblazingworld.com. And if I get a chance, I'll come back and drop a link or something to it once those videos are up. But it's going to be a while because I have to finish the cruise and get home and do whatever and get it up there. Those videos tend to be a lot longer because you're walking around filming things of that nature. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to come today, and I'm starting my little stopwatch here so I won't ramble too long. So if you see me look off, I'm looking off at the time, is because I had a conversation with someone that was truly amazing. I'm going to tell you, okay, I started Retired and Rising, well, the channels at least, the social media side of it, a few weeks ago. And you know how sometimes God will give you something or give you an ideal and you try to go off and implement it, or you do go off and implement it. And suddenly everywhere you look, there are signs and signals that point towards that idea. Well, when we got on the cruise 2 days ago, we boarded on September the 12th. And today is the 15th, the 14th. That's another thing about cruising. You lose track of days and time, which I love. Today is the 14th, so I've been on here for 2 days. I always decorate my door, and maybe I don't like editing videos, so I hate to say I'll drop a picture of it in there. You might have to just wait and go see it over on ourblazingworld.com. We'll see. But anyway, I like to decorate my cruise door. Carnival Cruise Lines is one of the few cruise lines that allow you to have at it as long as you're within their restrictions, like using magnets and things like that. No permanent changes. So anyway, I was outside the first day decorating my door, and the gentleman across the hall from me stopped and said, "Are you a school teacher?" And I laughed. If you see my decorations, this will make more sense, because it did look like something a school teacher would do on a school board for the kids' first day of school or whatever. And I laughed and I said, "No, but I am in higher education." Well, 2 doors down, another lady was going into her cabin at the time, and she said, "I'm a school teacher." And he said, "Oh, okay, I'm a retired principal." And she said, "Oh my God, I want to pick your brain." And he said, "Really?" And she went on to say that she was struggling. She wanted to retire. She's ready to retire. Financially, she's able to retire, but emotionally, she just can't get there. And I was just floored, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I just started this because of this reason. To me, that's God sending confirmation that, yes, there are people out here who went through the same thing that you went through, that you're going through, and they need help. They need somewhere where they can talk it out. I mean, you're not necessarily looking for somebody to tell you what to do. I wasn't looking for anybody to tell me what to do. I just wanted to have some comfort with other like-minded people going through the same decision-making process, and just hearing their thoughts, and what did they decide, and what did they do, and how did they get there. And so I said to myself, and I was searching all over YouTube and I just couldn't find that. I found great information, a lot of great information on retiring at 62 and Social Security and all these different things, but I couldn't find that, what I was looking for about that emotional component. And I'm going to take these bracelets off because I know they're probably rattling and I don't know if the mic is picking them up or not. So there we go. Speaking of which, okay, yeah, the mic is on. Make sure it's on. So anyway, yeah, it was like confirmation. And then I said, this, I need to talk about that on the next video. So this is what I wanted to talk about on this video is when I was going through trying to make that decision of whether or not I should retire at 62, it was an emotional whirlwind of feelings. So much was going on in my life. My mother, I had been caregiver for my mother. I talked about that in the intro video. Full time for the last 4 to 5 years. And she died on November the 5th, 2024. It's like the oxygen was sucked out of the world for me. Now, she was 97 years old and she had dementia. And yes, I knew she was going to die one day. But she was doing so well. It just came out of the blue. 3 days, she was gone. It was just boom, 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 and she was gone. So it was really hard and unexpected. Then I had to deal with what to do about her estate. And that had some issues because of the way that her estate was designed with her and my dad. So I had a lot of hurdles and stuff to try to get through on that, which was adding stress to my life that was unnecessary, but it was there. And what are you going to do? And then ironically, before my mother died, my sister had come down from Detroit and she had spent 6 months living with me so she could spend time with my mom. I mean, the timing worked out perfect because who knew mom was going to end up dying, And so she was there when my mother died. So it was really beautiful because both me and my sister was with her. She on one side, me on the other side. My mother died in my home. But my sister had come and she has Parkinson's. And so I had 6 months with my sister before my mother died, and she and I went on a cruise together. And because of her Parkinson's, she had to use a scooter, a mobility scooter. And she had a lot of issues with that scooter. And then, not the scooter itself, but just, moving around the way that she would want to and doing the things that she wanted to do. She was prohibited because of the scooter. And that's the way it is, And then I had to help her be able to get up out of the bed and get back into bed and to bathe and all this other kind of stuff, So doing that for my sister, and she's in her 70s, that laid heavy on my mind. I really started thinking about my retirement more when my sister was here before my mother died, because I want time to do the things that I want to do. And I don't have kids. I never married. So who would take care of me? If I still wanted to go out on a cruise, who would be there to say, okay, I'll take you. We'll go together and I'll help you bathe and get dressed and all these different things. I wouldn't have anybody. I would have to pay somebody. And I knew that my retirement funds was not going to be at a level where I would be able to afford to do that often, if at all. So I started thinking about the retirement then. Then my mother died. And that kind of threw me because I wasn't expecting it. I really thought she was going to make it to be 100. I had planned to retire the year that she turned 100. They just coordinated that way. That would have given me 20 years at LSU. And so, but she didn't. It didn't. It wasn't God's plan. It was my wants, but not God's plan. It was my mother's wants as well, because she used to say it all the time. I'm going to be here. I'm going to see you retire. We're going to have a big party, you know. So, I just figured God was going to answer that prayer for her. But he had other plans. And sometimes your desires is not his desires. So then fast forward, and my sister got sick. I think it was February. It may have been March. My sister took a fall, which was not uncommon. I mean, she has Parkinson's, right? So she has fallen before, but she took a fall, and when the people, and this is back in Detroit, she's home with her daughter. Her daughter lives with her, and when the uh, EMS people came to get her up, they decided she needs to go to the hospital and be checked out. So she did. They took her to the hospital, and while she was in the hospital, um, I think they figured out she had a UTI, which is not uncommon. She gets those, and they affect her mentally or whatever. And but she started getting better, and they transferred her out to the hospital. They sent her over to the rehab, and you could tell she was getting better. She started, moving around and what have you. Then something happened in that rehab, and we still don't know what it was. But she caught something, and the doctors don't know what it was. They know what it was not. It was not COVID. It was not flu. It was not all these different things that they could tell you what it was not, but they couldn't tell you what it was. And she progressively got worse. And she ended up, they had to take her back to the hospital from rehab. And she ended up on a feeding tube. She ended up being incubated and life support in ICU. And it was really, she could go either way whether or not she was going to make it. That was a lot of stress. And at the same time, my brother in Florida was going through a cancer scare. And also, he has problems with his back where he has to turn his whole body. He can't just turn his neck like we can. And so, putting that on top of him having these issues that might be cancer, that was a lot. And my other brother, who I was the closest to in age and actually grew up in the house with, had just died a couple of years before my mother at age 64. And we had work, because I'm still working, right? And so there was a big project at work in the beginning of the year, and I was just going through it, and it was just very frustrating. And I know part of it was me because I'm grieving my mother, but I haven't had time to grieve, and then I have all this stuff going on with my family members. And so I just had to stop, and I said, God, I'm not going to make it. I literally said that. I said, God, I'm not going to make it. You have got to show me what to do. I do not know what to do. I just feel like I cannot take one more stressor in my life. And so I went into prayer, and I have a prayer group. We've been together for years. We meet over Zoom on Thursdays because we're all over the place. Some are in Washington, D.C., some are in Texas, some are in Louisiana like me. We're all over the place. And so these are places that I've lived in the past. So it's kind of how I've connected with these folks. But anyway, my prayer group was praying for me. And ironically, the matriarch of our prayer group, Mama Rosa, she had told me 3 years ago I needed to retire. And I wish I had listened to her, because then my mom would have saw me retired like she wanted to. But Mama Rosa had told me 3 years ago. But financially, I just didn't feel I was ready. But looking back on it now, I probably was as ready as I am now. I probably could have. It may have been a little bit more of a struggle, but not much more. But hindsight is 2020. And I just, like I said, I wasn't ready yet. And I guess that's what I wanted to talk about. How do you get ready? How do you know? For me, I had to turn to God. It had to be a spiritual thing. I had to go to a higher power. And I had to just say, God, show me what to do. I don't know what to do. And that next morning, the first thing that came to me was, right now, the only stressor that you can really give up is this job. You need to go and look at your numbers and see, can you make it work? The web thing, I had worked on the web thing behind the scenes, letter writing, phone calls, doing all of the lobbying kind of stuff with the lobby team. And so God had answered that prayer. And he's like, I've answered the prayer. People said it would never happen. And I made it happen. And you're still not moving. Those thoughts came to me. And so I said, okay, let me go look at my numbers with this web thing and make sure this is something I can do. Well, I could do it. I could see that I could do it. And here was the big factor on that. When my mother was alive and with me, her pension wasn't big enough to cover all of the expense it took to keep her going, as far as, sitters and special equipment and, things that she needed. Um, if you've been a caregiver, you understand what I'm talking about. There's a lot of things from diapers to insured to just all kinds of stuff. And then I had to make sure she had balanced meals every day. So I had to do like massive cooking sessions to make sure that the sitters had stuff to feed her and what have you, whatever. But anyway, all of that takes money. And her small pension and plus Social Security did not cover it all. So I was filling in the gaps. And I also was carrying her home. Her home was paid for, but you still got taxes, you still got insurance. And in Louisiana, if you don't keep utilities on in a house, it will literally dry rot and fall apart on you, or it will mold over. So I had to keep utilities, electric, gas, water, all those things on. Plus, I had to keep lawn care up because she lives in a nice neighborhood with wonderful neighbors. Couldn't have a house overgrown with weeds. So I had to keep the lawn care up. I had to pay for alarm service, everything I had to do at my own home. I had to do it at that empty house. And people say, well, why didn't you try to rent it out? And why didn't you try to sell it? And why didn't you? Well, those are a lot of good why didn't yous. But I did not have the time, the resources. There was 50 years of living in that house and nobody to help me get it out of there. And guess what? It's still that way. Although we're gonna get it out of there this month because I feel like the house is finally sold, knock on wood, and I can move on from that chapter of my life. But yeah, so there was a lot going on financially for me during the time when my mother was living. So I never really was getting my whole paycheck anyway at the end of the day. So even though a lot of those expenses have been lifted off of me, at least as far as her care, now I'm still carrying the house and stuff, but as far as her care had been lifted off of me, it wouldn't be that big of a stretch for me to go to half my salary, because what I was going to net at the end would work out to be about the same that I was netting when she was alive and I was having to pay all these things. So what was an inconvenience at the time turned out to really be a blessing, because I went for 4 to 5 years on half my pay. And so I knew I could do it. If I did it then, I know I can do it now. It's just a matter of discipline. And so that's what I decided. I decided, okay, the numbers is out the way. Let's just push that aside. But then came the things that this young lady next door was talking about. Once I had made the decision and I had filed the paperwork, I told my boss, this is what I'm going to do. All the emotions. I've been working for 40 years, nonstop. I've never had a layoff. Knock on wood, or I don't know if it's knock on wood since I won't be working anymore, but never had a layoff. Never fired from a job, ever. Never fired. Never quit. Never. What happened was the company that I went to go work for, well, I say quit once, and we're going to get to that. The company I went to go work for was called First American, and I was in their data services division. Eventually, it was sold to a company called Perot Systems. Have you ever heard of H. Ross Perot? And I was acquired by them. So I didn't leave First American. I was acquired. And I stayed with Perot Systems until my father asked me to come home because he was terminally ill with cancer and needed assistance. And he really was worried about my mom. That's what he was mostly working. His whole thing was take care of Wilma, take care of Wilma. So, and having such wonderful parents, that's what I did. And like said in another video, I took the cut and pay, and I came on home. It was a big career diversion for me because I went backwards 10 years as far as title and all of that other stuff. But yeah. So I had worked a long time and I was tired. I really was. But it was also my identity. Who would I be if I stopped working? If I wasn't Talisa from IT or, T Will, because a lot of people call me T Will because T will do it. That's where that came from. If I wasn't T will do it to go out there and put out the fire, to go jump on the plane and go work on the project. Who was I going to be? And then I started questioning, I'm at my peak earning years right now. Why am I going to walk away from that? I could have a really comfortable retirement if I just stay another 2 years. There was that thought. And so I would wake up in a panic. Like, did I make the right decision? Is this what I should have done? Maybe I need to tell them I changed my mind and I'm going to stay. But I knew that wasn't the answer either because my brain was fried. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I've never been laid off or fired is because I've always been an exceptional employee. And I'm not just bragging on myself, that's just who I am. It was, like I said, part of my identity. I never married. I didn't have kids. So I gave 200% to my career. And so I wasn't there. I wasn't there. That project that we had in the beginning of the year, it was wiping me out. I was like, I can't do this. I can't manage these folks. I can't manage this project. I can't get my own work done. And that bothered me because LSU had been too good to me not to give them my 1000%. Okay. That institution is the reason why I could take care of my parents. They were the reason why I was there when my mother needed me the most. So I could not give them less of who I was as a worker. I just could not do it. So I would think about that, or something would happen during the day while I'm waiting for my retirement. And it was like a sign from God letting me know, see how you don't want to deal with this, whereas in the past you'd have just jumped on it and done it. This is why time is for you to go now. It's your time. Your time is now. And so, I didn't want to do that to them. And I even told my boss at my going away party, I said, I think this is a good move for the institution. I said, because I'm unable to give you my all anymore. And I think you can get somebody in here who could, and they'll bring fresh new ideas and, whatever. But LSU's been too good for me to make you suffer for another 24 months just to line my pockets. That's not who I am. So I left, and I know it was the right decision, and I know it was ordained by God, because each and every day when I would wake up with those doubts, he would send some kind of sign to let me know. It may have been something that happened in a work meeting, or it may have been something that somebody said, or it may have been even me and my boss. We couldn't see eye to eye on using AI. Even that, I was like, oh my goodness, he's younger than me. But we were on completely different pages on it. And so even little things like that was like, it's your time to go, girl. Pack your bag and go. So I wanted to say all of that to say to you, reach out, lean forward into your spiritual system, into your belief system, into God. For me, Jesus Christ is my Savior. I believe in God. I prayed that prayer. And once I prayed that prayer, he started sending me signs. And whenever I started to doubt myself, if I was making the right decision, if I was going to be able to make it financially, if I was going to be able to make it emotionally, who am I without it? He started feeding me answers and solutions and showing me reasons why it should be. And believe it or not, This channel, Retired and Rising, is one of the things he gave to me. He just gave me that idea one day. It was like, really, it wasn't a day, it was in the middle of the night. And I jumped up out of bed and I just started writing. I just started writing. And that's why I have a Substack that you should go check out. I will post in my Substack every week for the first year of my retirement to talk about more in depth some of my feelings, what I'm doing, and to talk about the tools I use to get through some of these stressors and things of that nature. Like right now, I got a little free guide, a 7-day wellness check thing that I would do when my mom was alive. Whenever I would take my respite break, I would do these things on a cruise or whatever to kind of bring myself in and to kind of focus. Well, I put the free guide out there for you over there on Substack. So be sure to check out my Substack. But I just wanted to take a few minutes. I'm in my interior room, by the way. It's a little small interior room. And maybe on the next video, I'll take you around and show it to you. I don't know. It's kind of junked up right now. But it's what I could afford, and it was a good deal from Carnival, and they've been giving me nice little gifts and what have you, because like I said, it's a special adults only cruise, and yeah, but I just wanted to jump on and tell you guys about it, even though I'm sitting here really working on my travel stuff, to let you know, hey, yes, it can be nervous, it can be nerve-wracking. But that's why you've got to pray even more. You've got to lean in even more. You have to really ask the right questions at the right time to yourself and to God and give him a chance to answer. Because once he answers and gives you that peace, that knowing, that understanding, then you can move with intent. And that's actually a good segue, because one of the things I do want to do a video on is travel with intent. And I'm going to do a Substack on it too. So be sure to check out the Substack on that. Okay, so it's been 24 minutes. I did not hit that 30-minute mark. I was going for 15. We're going to get there. We're going to keep practicing. But in the meanwhile, thank you for your time and your attention. And I hope this helps someone. Do me a favor. Like and subscribe. I know my videos are real rough. I'm just starting out. Come on, give me a break. Like and subscribe. See if I get better. See if I say something that will help you with your retirement. Ask me questions. I may have an answer, I may not, but at least we can get a little dialogue going about it, and maybe I can do a video about it and help somebody else. So I look forward to hearing from you. Hit subscribe, hit like, and drop me a comment down below. Thank you. Bye.